Good morning, sir. Ito po ang aking sagot sa aquaculture in prelim exam. Number 1. Define aquaculture. Aquaculture is aqua farming in the controlled cultivations of aquatic organisms such as fish, crustaceans, mollusks, algae, and other organisms of value such as aquatic plants. Also refers to cultivations of aquatic organisms in controlled aquatic environments for any commercials, recreational, or public purpose. Number 2 questions. Compare farming in the water to farming the land. Aquaculture or farming in waters is the aquatic equivalent of aquaculture or farming on the land. Defined broadly, aquaculture includes farming both animal husbandry, and plants, agronomy, horticulture, and forestry in part. Similarly, aquaculture covers in the farm of both animals, including crustaceans, fish, and mollusks, and plants, including seaweeds and freshwaters, microphytes, while agriculture is predominantly based on the use of freshwaters. Aquaculture occurs in both inland freshwaters and coastals, brackish waters or seawaters areas. Number 3 questions. Explains the difference between phytoplankton and zooplankton. Phytoplankton are tiny drifting plants that photosynthesize their own foods. Green algae that you see on the surface of the body of the water are good examples. Phytoplankton produce much oxygen for our atmosphere, while zooplankton are tiny drifting animals that eat plants and animals and decaying matters for their food. They kill the giant whales filter out of the seawater are good example. Zooplankton have species that have the largest biomass of any species on Earth. Number 4 question. Explain the difference between mollusks and crustaceans. The crustaceans are insects that have segment bodies. On the other hand, mollusks have soft bodies which the unsegmented. Therefore, this is the key difference between crustaceans and mollusks. Furthermore, crustaceans have a chitinous skeletons whereas some mollusks have calcareous shells. Number 5 question. Using specific plants and animals, describe a polyculture system. Polyculture is the practice of growing more than one crop species in the same space. At the same time, in doing this, polyculture attempts to mimic the diversity of natural ecosystem. Polyculture is the opposite of monocultures in which only one plant or animal species is cultivated together. Polyculture can be improved control of some pests, weeds, and disease while reducing the need of pesticides. Number 6 question. In what way do aquatic animals save energy compared to terrestrial animals? Terrestrial animals and land-based animals, including mammals and reptiles, can be in water, and some utilized as ways to hunt, but do not need to live in water. Example of these terrestrial animals is dogs, cats, humans, snakes. Aquaculture animals, water-based animals, including fish and some mammals, required living in the water to survive. Example of this is whale, shark, freshwater fish like trout. Number 7 question. Identify 6 factors to consider in selecting species for possible aquaculture sites. Some locals. Desirable characteristic of organism. Number 1 is fast growth, short food chains, efficient conservation of food, ready acceptance of compound feeds, good table quality, disease resistance, ease of breeding in capability, early maturation, high fecundity, tolerance of wide range of environmental parameters. Number 2, commonly cultured organism, fish, crustaceans, and mollusks. Other cultured organisms, seaweeds, frogs, crocodiles, and turtles. Number 3, biological features of common cultured fish, crustaceans, and mollusks. Tolerance limits of salinity, temperatures, and oxygen tensions. Growth rates and yield in the different types of cultures. Breeding habits, feeding habits, and geographic distributions. 4. Criteria of selections of specific cultures. Objective of cultures, geographic and climatic considerations, cultures, qualities of the organism, consumers' acceptance and marketability, cost of productions, domestic consumption versus export. 5. Indigenous versus exotic species. Condition for the introductions of exotic species or strain, procedures for deciding on instructions and transplantations, precautions to prevent adverse effect and local fauna and flora, and the spread of infection. 6. Selection of strains of cultivate species for valuable characters, growth, food, conversations, shapes and body conformations, resistance to disease, tolerance of wide fluctuations, environmental factors, meat quality, used for hybridization techniques for obtaining superior strains and monosex progeny. Practicals. Identifications of cultivating organisms of Africa and their various stages. Study for food, habits, maturation stage, and fecundity of important cultivation organism. Number 8 questions. Give an example of how morphology can affect the culture techniques and aquaculturists choose. In biology, morphology is termed as the study of the size, shape, and structures of animals, plants, and microorganisms, and the relationship for the constituent parts. So basically, morphology characteristics include size, shapes, color, etc. for organisms or plant. 9. Briefly describe how gills works. As the fish opens its mouth, water runs on the gills, over the gills. Our blood and the blood in the capillaries picks up oxygens that dissolve in the water. Number 10 questions. Define marketing and describe a marketing plan. Marketing refers to activities company undertake to promote the buying or selling of productions of service. A marketing plan is the advertised strategy that business will implement to sell its product service. Number 11 questions. Based on the states of the World of Fisheries and Aquaculture 2020 and the Philippines Fisheries Profile 2020, summarize and explain the current scenario of the world aquaculture industry and the Philippines aquaculture industry, current trends in the industry, problems and issues, and where do we go from here? States aquaculture industry during the pandemic. The 2022 editions of the States of World of Philippines and Aquacultures or SOPIA says the growth of the aquacultures, particularly in Asia, lifted total productions of fisheries and aquacultures to an all-time high of 214 million tons into 2020, comprising 178 million tons of aquatic animals and 36 million tons of algae. In 2020, the current of the conditions of fish in the Philippines, the worldwide is bleak. Overfishing, illegal fishing, and habitat destructions combined with the increased demand of fish and populations growth continue to drive fisheries productions into a deeper abyss. Number 12 questions. Explain the concept of the Blue Revolution. Cite of examples and your thoughts about it. Pros and cons. The term of Blue Revolution refers to the remarkable emergence of aquaculture as an importance of highly productions in aquaculture's activity. It is a vision to achieve economic prosperity of the country and the fisheries and fish farmers, as well contributes towards foods and natural security through full potential utilizations of water sources for food development and sustainable manners, keeping a view the biosecurity and environmental concerns, domestic and farming of fish, shellfish, and aquatic plants from the middle of the 20th century to present, particularly in underdeveloping countries. Pros: improve accessibility and ability of farm fish in some regions. Cons: the loss of mangrove swamps and wetlands by conservation their area into shrimp farms will lead to exposures of coastal areas of erosions, flooding, increased storm damage, altered natural drainage patterns, increased salts intrusions, and remove critical habitats for aquatic and terrestrial species. Number 13 question. Explain the difference between extensive and semi-extensive and intensive culture system. Extensive systems is low stocking densities and no supplemental feeding, although fertilizations may be done to stimulate the growth and productions of natural food in water, while semi-intensive farming systems account for about 70% of fish and crustaceans aquaculture productions into the tropic, employing semi-intensive feeding methods ranging from the use of low-cost pond fertilization techniques of high-cost complete diet feeding strategies, while intensive intensity culture use very high intensity of culture organism, more than 200,000 and 300,000 shrimp, and totally depend on the artificial formulated feeds. Both systems are used small ponds compartments for one size for areas management. Number 14 question. Explain the difference between static open, semi-closed, and recirculating. Make a SWOT analysis about on it. Number 15 question. Explain the requirements for sustainable aquaculture species. Species that schools and swims near the surface of edge are ideal, as are specific that can be readily trained to feed particularly area. Species that are very flighty or selectively are used less sustainable for aquaculture. Number 16 question. Explain the critical considerations in terms of site selections and development of a fish pond. The critical consideration in terms of the site selections and development of fish pond are water supplies, water quality, hydrological characteristics, soil characteristic, and land. So, number 17 questions. Explain the different aquaculture systems. SWOT analysis of the aquaculture systems. A different aquaculture systems in water-based system, cage and pens and inshores, offshores. Land-based in systems, rain ponds, irrigations or flow through. More open ponds-based circulations. Number 18 questions. Explain the recirculating system works. What are the critical things to be considered and maintained? A. Ay sagot. A recirculation system is the pack of quite simple. From the outlet of the fish tanks, the water flows to the mechanical filter and further on to biological filter before it's irritated and stripped of a carbon dioxide and returned to the fish tank. From the outlet of the fish tank, the water flows a mechanical filter and further on the biological filter before it is irritated and stripped of carbon dioxide and returned to the fish tank. Thank you. Yun lang po, sir.